If you could, before we start, I just want to preface that I'd like this to be a little bit interactive. So whenever I say, a gesture or something like that, just raise your hand or whatever quickly, because as you know, we have 15 seconds of slides. So, and we're good with that. Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
All right, hi, my name's Tristan. I'm going to be talking about Rethinking Wellness today. This is inspired by ASAP BC. I'm not necessarily working with them directly. We're currently doing some media work as an owner of TRIFLIX. We do photo and video. And whenever we started working with them, I was very inspired by the topic and the subject material, which is Rethinking Wellness. And when I talked to Dan, he said, just talk about your life and inspire people. And I was like, I'm in my 20s, so. So up here, this is the 8 dimensions of wellness. This, as far as I know, anecdotal. I'm sure there are some more facts to it. But this is what has been exposed to me. And growing up, I did not value all of these things. These were nurture versus nature. I wasn't taught to value. As you can see, I have some grayed out. By show of hands, who thinks that they're living a well life, well-rounded? So, great, awesome. Think about that, because we'll be talking about it at the end. So this is my story. I started off with a plan. I'm very analytical. I like plans. I like sticking to them, and I get really frustrated when they don't work out. But I'm pretty good at making it up as I go. So I started off doing engineering in middle school, and it was a plan B. I knew I wanted to get into the arts. I knew I wanted to be a director. I knew I wanted to do film. I started going to Cummins. I started my first company. I started working at Ison and switching to ThinkPath and Forcia. These are all at manufacturing and engineering companies. And throughout this process, my values change. At some points, I value my physical health, working out twice a day. Sometimes I'm valuing money and I'm giving up sleep and grinding through the night so that I can make extra money. And one of my goals was to pay off my tuition before I graduated. And I did. Hooray! So I got an office, got an intern. I met my fiance. We got married, had a little son, light of my life, and they're a great inspiration for a lot of the things that we're talking about. Started a partnership with a good friend. Cole's in the back taking photos. We've hired employees. We've gone through business ideas and concepts. We've gone through many different interns, just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And throughout this process, again, all these things are changing. At some points, I'm not working out at all. At some points, I'm not going to church, but my faith has radically changed in 2014 whenever I'm attending The Gathering, which is a college-age youth group. I met a lot of mentors throughout this process. And then financials, that's always been number one for me. And as we know, love of money is the root of all evil. So it's something I'm starting to evaluate more and more and keeping in check. In 2023, I went from having my biggest client ever and having way too much money as a young 20-year-old to losing that client and having to start evaluating things, because if financial is the biggest deal and I lost it, I'm nothing. These are some quotes that I've taken away throughout my childhood that have inspired me. Leave things better than the way you found them. If it's good for you, those around you in your community, speaking truth to a situation. That's Scott Hunley, if you know him. He's one of my favorite mentors. And then we have, what are you giving up to pursue your purpose? My background is in engineering and creative, making things approachable to people. So I always want to try to find ways to get people interactive to the things. So thought experiment number 1. How many of you drive cars and change your oil before the light comes on? Actually, a good amount. Okay. How many wait till the light comes on? All right. And how many wait until the light goes out? Some of you. Yes. So the warning light in a car, these are symptoms. This is the symptom. This only shows up if you don't treat the thing before you get there, right? So thought experiment number 2. Let's talk about the ethics of self-harm. Yeah. So 127 hours, guy's trapped under a boulder. The only way to get out, cut off his hand. Nobody looks at that guy and is like, well, that guy was an idiot. He had to. That was the only way to survive. We look at things like food allergies. Does anybody have a food allergy? How many of you eat the food even though you're not supposed to? A couple of you. All right. So it's like, so some of it's okay, some of it's not. We get to grind culture. How many of you work way past your bedtime? It's like, there we go. we're starting to understand that some things that are self-harm we accept as a culture, and some things we don't, and some things we actually promote. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs is anecdotal, of course, but there are some truths to it. It's hard to understand self-actualization until you start to meet your basic needs, until your food, water, shelter is met, until concepts in your life are met that you can start to rationalize and think about bigger picture things. So, again, by show of hands, how many of you still feel like you live a well-rounded life that you can walk away from every day and you feel satisfied and you're meeting all of your basic needs and that there's nothing falling short? Great, I hope there's people. Look around and keep your hands up. These are the people in the room that I want others to look to. These are people that are great mentors. These are people that have found values in their lives that they can help bring themselves together. And as a community, I would love it if more people would share these concepts and what works for them. There's a lot more to it, but I'm already past my time.